Gooey liquid that is inside your can of chickpeas. What the heck is it, and why do people use it like crazy? Aquafaba is commonly used as like an egg white or an egg white replacer. It works really well as emulsifier, thickening agent, and binder. Now that is due to its carbohydrates, its soluble chickpea fibers and chickpea solids, just the remaining bits that are left over, and its protein. There's a lot of protein in aquafaba. Now this liquid is created in one of two ways. It's created by storing chickpeas in water or cooking chickpeas in water, and then essentially all of that, those fibers, proteins, carbohydrates are removed from the chickpeas and they migrate over to the water. So one of the pains that I always ran across with aquafaba was the fact that the liquid only stores for a few days to a week, and you always needed to have a can of chickpeas on hand if you wanted to use aquafaba. But then I ran across aquafaba powder. Now you could pick that up, or today we're gonna make our own, and we're gonna be able to use it in so many new ways other than just a liquid egg. It's gonna make a great binder. So to make our aquafaba powder, you can make it a few different ways. You can make it just using canned chickpeas, which we're gonna be doing today, and you could also make it using just dried chickpeas. Both of these are gonna come up with about the same amount of aquafaba, but this aquafaba is gonna be a little bit more natural. It's gonna have a little bit more of those proteins, those properties that makes a really clean aquafaba, where the cans of just Goya chickpeas include chickpeas, water, salt, disodium EDTA, which is a color retention, where when we make these here, we're simply just going to be doing chickpeas with water. So you can see the difference between the two. So I have two 14-ounce bags of dried chickpeas. What I'm gonna do is just dump them into a large saucepan. And then you just kind of want to like pick through and make sure there's no like debris or anything in your chickpeas. Now at this point, we just want to take these over to the sink, give them a really quick rinse. Now, just as I was about to rinse the chickpeas, there was a rock. There was a big piece of dirt in the chickpeas. I hope this is dirt. Okay, so now that I have the chickpeas all rinsed out, we're gonna drop this over on the stove really quick, add about 14 cups of water, and we're gonna bring this to a boil. Now I used tap water to rinse them, but I did use a filtered water for the final product. I think a filtered product is gonna give us a cleaner aquafaba to work with to turn into a powder. We're gonna boil them for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're gonna lower it to a very low simmer, and we're gonna simmer them for quite a while. We're gonna try to reduce the liquid almost by about half. Okay, so at this point, it's been a little over an hour. Our chickpea water has boiled down. The chickpeas are, well, pretty nice and cooked. They're not fully ready to be used, it's just regular chickpeas. I'm gonna be freezing these just to use the chickpeas later. I can use them in hummus or in salads. Once you freeze them and thaw them, they'll be ready to use just pretty much right out of the get. So let's go ahead and strain the chickpeas so that way all we have left is the aquafaba. Now I also wanna note that while I was boiling these, I was also constantly agitating, constantly stirring them. Now the next step in this process to get our aquafaba powder is we're going to dehydrate this liquid. Now I'm just gonna throw this sheet pan in the oven, and I'm gonna set it to the lowest setting my oven goes to. Now my oven has a dehydration setting, so it'll go down to about 100 degrees, but normally about 120 to 140 degrees will be just fine. And you're just gonna wanna pay attention. I would check every few hours to see where this is at. Now I'm also gonna dehydrate a can of chickpeas just to show you the difference between the canned and the cooked version. So let's throw this liquid on a sheet pan. Okay, about halfway through, I pulled them out and I started scraping them. I noticed that the aquafaba that I was dehydrating from the can, I let go a little too far. It's not really scrapable. We're just not gonna use it today. We're gonna keep going with the powder that we were making from scratch. I was able to pull that out just at the right time to be able to peel off the leather to allow it so that way it didn't stick and it dehydrated just quite a bit farther. Now this has been going most of the day, and we have these large bits here of aquafaba, dried aquafaba flakes, I'm gonna call them. Now I'm pretty happy with the flake yield that I have here. I probably have about a half of a cup. This half of a cup is going to be able to be rehydrated into about 10 cups of aquafaba, or really probably almost 30 eggs. Now I will say where I messed up was I wish I would have used like a baking pad or a silicone baking mat. I think that would have made a big difference, especially on the other tray, because my one tray from Great Jones is actually like a non-stick tray. My other one's not, so it kind of stuck up. I tried to scrape it off, but it just didn't really work. This is gonna work better anyways. I'm just gonna use a spice grinder, a coffee grinder here that I use as a spice grinder. I'm gonna fill it up, I'd say about halfway, because the finer we can get the powder here, the better the results are gonna be, and it's gonna be able to mix in a heck of a lot easier. And that's it. This is our Aquafaba powder. This will stay just like this for 2 years. You can just continue adding to this every time you open up a can of chickpeas. You can just dehydrate the liquid. A half a teaspoon of the powder to 3 tablespoons of water is gonna give you an egg. So we're just gonna do, like I said, the half of a teaspoon of the Aquafaba powder to 3 tablespoons of water. And then we're gonna quickly be able to whip this up into an egg really quick. Once all the Aquafaba powder is mixed in, all I'm gonna do is just put this on like a higher speed, and we're gonna whip this up into a meringue. And then you can see that you have a pretty solid peak out of this. I mean, just like an egg white, you could put this over your head. Ah, that was scary as hell. So add a little bit of sugar and a little bit of vanilla. And then you could treat them just how you would any meringue cookie. Just drop it onto your baking sheet using a tablespoon. And really the possibilities are endless. Use it just like you would an egg white or an egg white powder. This stuff is awesome. I mean, so look at these things. They literally came out. I mean, they're wonderful. I mean, I let them cook a little bit too long, but I mean, that is the meringue from the dried Aquafaba powder. I mean, just look at that. It's perfect. I mean, other than the fact that I burnt it a little bit, it's perfect. It's this perfect meringue cookie from chickpea powder.